Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rosie Thomas. I am the Director of Campaigns and Communications at Choice. I lead a team of campaigners and advocates who fight to make sure that markets work for consumers. And that's all markets, not just energy markets. So I'm one of the people here today who is not a self-confessed energy nerd. I look at lots of markets and policy areas, and energy is just one of them. Very soon I will hand over to Erin Turner, the CEO of the Consumer Policy Research Centre. CPRC, I'm sure Erin will introduce the org to you as well, but from my perspective, CPRC is, it's like a badass consumer think tank, and they really shape the narrative on lots of things. So I'm very excited to have you all hear Erin's research. So I wanted to say thank you first to ECA and Brendan in particular for inviting two people who are not energy nerds to the conversation here today. Energy policy can feel like a very tight-knit club, and so thank you for letting us join the club for this one day. All right, so the focus of today's session will be Erin taking you through CPRC's research, and there will be some interactive questions on Slido, so have your phones ready for that. But before I hand over to Erin, I wanted to share some of Choice's perspective on what consumers are thinking about when buying major appliances and why effective labelling matters so much. As many of you may know, Choice is best known for our major appliance testing and comparisons. We've been doing it for decades, and we're very, very proud that we do it based not just on what the standards require, but based on how consumers actually use products and what they say they value. To develop our testing methodology, we regularly ask consumers about appliances, how they're using them, what matters to them when they're buying them. And so one of the more recent one of these surveys that we did was focused on dishwashers and washing machines. In that survey, we asked people about how they use and make decisions about dishwashers and washing machines. What we found is that when you present people with a prescribed list, a relatively long list of all of the obvious things you can think of considerations for buying either a dishwasher or a washing machine, the top three considerations that people choose or report are good cleaning, reliability, and low water consumption. Low energy consumption or energy efficiency doesn't even make the top five. So for a lot of consumers, energy efficiency for these appliances is not top of mind. It's not something they're thinking about when they're thinking about buying an appliance in the abstract. But at the same time, we know there's a body of research, some of it by Choice, some of it by government agencies and others, that shows that when consumers are presented with standardised labels on appliances, so things like the energy efficiency label or the water efficiency label, it influences their choices. Consumers report finding them useful, and they're more likely to choose an efficient model. So the information at the point of sale for appliances matters. It influences purchasing decisions and prompts people to make smarter choices than they would have without that information. And if we want to make smart choices irresistible, as this session has been billed, we have to get the information at the point of sale right. And so I'm going to hand over to Erin to take you through their research.
I realise you've been promised an irresistible session. This is a high bar when we're talking about washing machines, so I'm going to do my best here. If we could get our slides up, please. Now, we're having this conversation because home appliances matter, and I think the people in this room know this more than anyone outside it. Appliances are going to play a real critical role in the shift to a green economy. In the coming years, we're asking hundreds of thousands of households to switch their gas stove to an electric one, to install a new air conditioner, to consider solar panels. So how do we make sure that when people are making these choices, they're getting good quality, energy efficient options when they're making those big investments? I really loved, there was a phrase used on the panel just before about mindfully electrifying. And I think we're going to miss the mark if we end up in a situation where we get all these households to make a switch over. Let's buy brand new electric ovens, but they break in 5 years. They can't be repaired. They use more energy than we thought they could. These are the practical things we need to help people make decisions about. So what this research we've been doing has been exploring is, well, what information is there at the point of sale? What do people have and what do they need? If we can go to the next slide, please. So Consumer Policy Research Centre is a think tank. I don't usually use the term badass, but I might now that Rosie's said it. We conduct research just to really understand like the human part of markets. What do consumers experience? How do these things actually work? And this research has been made possible thanks to a grant from Energy Consumers Australia. What we're asking is how? How are people really making decisions about major appliances? What's the information in front of them? What are they actually using? And what do they want? If we go to the next slide. We are tackling this in 3 different ways. We're combining a mystery shop, focus groups, and a survey approach. And I can see her at the back of the room. Marion Campbell, could you raise your hand and wave? The real brains behind this research is that incredible woman back there. If you want to ask a question about methodology, Marianne is the human to go to. If we go to the next slide. We've first done, this is the completed research. We've completed 2 stages and the 3rd one's on the way. We've done a mystery shop of what we've tried to purchase, right up to the point of handing over money, 120 energy-intensive home appliances. This means we've gone into stores across Australia, we've also shopped online, and we've had a look at what information is available in front of people. What actually, what are the claims on the fridge? What information are you given when you're trying to buy a washing machine or a new air conditioner? And when you talk to the sales assistant and you ask, hey, I'm looking for something that's good for the environment or something that's energy efficient, what do they tell you and where do they direct your attention? The second piece we've completed, if we go to the next slide, is in-depth discussions with real people. We've got a split of homeowners and renters, and we've been asking people who've either purchased a big appliance or are intending to purchase in the next 12 months. Now, before I give you any of these results, I wanted to go over to you. If we go to the next slide, I want to know what you think's most important. If you were talking to a friend who was buying a fridge, what factors are the most important for them to consider? If we go to the next slide, and I think if you bring up your Slido, you will get options here. Or you can go old school and have a discussion at your table. Aha! You've got 12 factors here. Everything from a choice award, which I rate very highly, the warranty, the price, how easy is it to repair, if the company tells you they've planted a tree every time you buy that washing machine. Think about those 12 factors and rate them from most important to least important. I'll give you a few minutes. And I'm very interested in the results because I suspect this group, aha. Aha. All right, durability is getting a good run for the money. We have some choice members like me in the room. I cheat, I look for the award. Can we scroll down? I'm interested to see what's least important. What factors are people not considering when they're buying a fridge? If it's eco, customer reviews, the length of the warranty, ease of repairability doesn't rate highly. 1 tree planted. You're going to be surprised when I get into the results how many people are using information like that. All right, you can follow along on Slido as we go, but if we go back to the slides. Oh, that's interesting. The question I'm asking you is the question we're asking consumers right now. We're trying to figure out what factors are most important to them and what's missing. So here's what we know already. When we did our mystery shop, we found that people are just being bombarded with information. And look, if you go into Harvey Norman or JB Hi-Fi, you're going to recognise what I'm showing you here. People have a lot of claims in front of them when they're trying to make a decision about a major appliance. Some of this is to be expected. It's the price, it's sales information, it's the brand. One thing we did find is that 2 in 5 appliances displayed what we call vague green claims. This is information, think of it as like a halo. It looks good, it's a little bit green, but when you go, all right, well, what does that mean? And how do I know if that's better than the appliance next to it? You can't tell the difference. I think one of the worst ones, I'm just going to call it out, is this little, you see in the middle there's a circle with a leaf in it that says eco. That was on an appliance we found as part of the mystery shop. That means nothing. It could mean that there's an eco setting on that appliance. It could mean that it's good for the environment. It could mean that they've got a carbon neutral scheme. But for the consumer, all they're getting is this vague impression, this is good for the environment. If we go to the next slide. One of the real stark findings here is that there were more vague green claims in the large retailers, the large national retailers in person, Harvey Norman, JB Hi-Fi, appliances online, and also on online marketplaces. Kogan, Catch of the Day. The mid-tier, we call them mid-tier state retailers, and the smaller independent ones, they did have some of this, but not nearly at the level that the large ones and the online stores did. Next slide. And it's not just the stuff in front of you. The information you're receiving when you're making this decision in store is also about what you're told. So we went to salespeople with standardised scripts. I'm a renter, I'm looking for this appliance, can you help me find something that's good for the environment? We found that actually I think a good outcome, a lot of sales assistants directed people to clear information, clear comparable information. 41% used the energy rating. 32% used vague green claims. If we go to the next one. And this is a thing to, I think, really focus in on. We took these claims and we put them in front of people. And we said, hey, if you saw this in a store, what would you think? How would you use this information and what are you going to rely on? A lot of people are using that energy rating. And I think that goes to Rosie's point at the beginning of this session. People value and they use comparable information. If you've got a bit of information that lets someone go option A, B, and C, I understand that 4 stars means more than 3, and that's broadly better. I know that there's lots of nuance within that, but people rely on that and they use it. But coming just second, vague green claims, that 80%, including 1 tree planted. People are putting a lot of reliance on that sense that a product is good for the environment. They're using those green claims in store. If we go to the next slide. So, this is another one for you with a Slido. What is, in your terms, greenwashing? Is it a business strategy that prioritises sustainability over profits? A certification scheme? Making false or misleading claims for being environmentally friendly, or the eco-wash cycle on a washing machine? Oh, very good. I'm glad. This tells me you're reading the work of, that regulators, including the ACCC and ASIC, have been putting out. Greenwashing is when companies make false or misleading claims about being environmentally friendly. And we have one more Slido moment for you. We can go to the next one. Here we go, next slide. There's no wrong answer here. What's your preferred name for exaggerated or false environmental claims? Ecobabble, sustainable, greenwashing, or planet puffery? My vote goes for sustainable. I'd like to relabel this one. Look, I am being light, but this is one of those issues that people are having to navigate as part of these decisions that very much connect to our energy future. People are having to dodge vague green claims as they're also making big decisions about electrifying their homes. If we go to the next slide. I've put up this definition from the ACCC because I think it captures 2 parts of greenwashing that we need to keep in our minds as we think about solutions to this problem. The ACCC is really clear. Greenwashing is when businesses make products or services seem environmentally better or less harmful than they really are. But there's 2 ways that this happens. One is through misleading claims, vague claims. It doesn't even have to be an outright lie. It can just be a sense that it's good, that it's green. But it can also be when businesses omit key information, when people don't have the information they need to know, yes, that is relatively better or worse than the option next to it. So we need to think about what's missing as well as what's there. If we go to the next slide. And I wanted to revisit this. These are some findings from our focus groups that we've pulled out and we think are really relevant. People are responding to green claims. They're responding to those claims like planting trees. We found in discussions with the focus groups that people have a strong belief that terms that they see really regularly, like a product is eco, that it's efficient, even when it's not connected to an energy efficiency rating, or that it's green or sustainable, they think those terms are regulated. They think that one eco product is the same as the next eco product. And experts in this room know that that is just not true. These claims are meaningless in a lot of ways. There's no guarantee a business is doing anything productive, whether that's on an energy efficiency side or for other sustainability reasons. We also found that people really trust symbols. Think of that circle with a leaf in it. People are looking for trust marks. They want that certainty that someone's done some work and is verifying that this is a good thing. They're expecting that those symbols mean something and that that company is genuinely environmentally responsible. The last thing I wanted to pull out, and this is about what's missing. People want to know how long products will last. They want to know about durability, and that information isn't there. You can't walk into a Harvey Norman or a JB Hi-Fi and compare a fridge or an air conditioner or a washing machine based on, well, this one's going to guarantee to last at least 10 years, or this one has spare parts available in Australia and it's easy to repair. That information just isn't there. If we go to the next slide. So this gets us to the last piece of the puzzle. This is work we are doing right now. A survey to understand what people most want to know. It's very similar to the exercise I made you do earlier, but Marianne will tell me much more statistically sound when we do it as part of this survey work. Next slide. We're in the process of surveying 1,500 people to understand, of all the factors out there, what do they most value when making decisions? What do they most want? Actually, we'll go to the next slide because it's got a really good example. This is essentially what we're asking people to do in a series of randomised variations. Rank and rate the attributes. If you're choosing a fridge, does the energy rating matter more to you than the warranty or customer reviews? We ask this over and over again in a range of scenarios. So eventually our research will be able to tell us, yes, people want this information, or they value this information a little bit less, but they can or they can't get it. That's what we're working towards. Next slide. We already know some things. We know that people want to shop in a way that is broadly beneficial for the environment, that is broadly leading to good energy efficient outcomes. The hope here is that consumers are there. They're ready to go. We've just got to arm them with the right information and the right tools to make decisions that are great for them and great for the earth. We also know that manufacturers and retailers are responding to these consumer needs. This greenwashing is happening for a reason. They know customers are attuned to this. And I'm not happy that it's happening, but again, I think this is another sign we can take of hope. People are ready to shop and spend money in ways that they get products that last longer, that are broadly beneficial. There's a large group of consumers ready to go. So a final conversation from you, and again, this is a Slido moment. I'd like to know what information you'd most like to see when buying an energy-intensive appliance. What's missing when you go to buy a washing machine, or a fridge, or an air conditioner? What do you most want to know? Durability. Oh, ability to be orchestrated. I like that. Cost to run, total cost to run, that's missing. Lifetime cost, cost per hour use. Oh, actual running costs, repairability. I love these answers because this is the specific information that people need. And kind of underlying a lot of this is this concept of comparability. You don't just need to know how much one fridge will cost to run. You need to know all of those fridges in front of you in a standardised way. What's the cost? Or how long will it last? Or how repairable will it be? Oh, durable's winning. I'm very happy about that. I'm going to keep the Slido. It'll keep running in the background. You can keep checking it. But I wanted to leave you with, we're not there yet. Our research is still underway, but these are some preliminary recommendations that we're starting to think about based on the first two waves of research. In terms of what this research is telling us, we think we need to intervene. We need to stop poor quality information. This can't just be about getting good information out to consumers. We need to remove the stuff that makes it hard for them. And that's vague green claims. Things like sustainable, but there's nothing underneath it, or eco, and again, there's no detail there. I know I'm talking about a pretty direct market intervention, but we're already seeing similar things in Europe. We wouldn't even be the first jurisdiction to go there. Secondly, we need to think about standards and approvals. Make sure that some terms mean the same thing. We've talked a lot about it outside of big appliances, but biodegradable needs to mean biodegradable and not just at home versus in industrial settings. We also need to make sure those trust marks, whether that's an official trust mark or just a fancy graphic design of a leaf in a circle, they need to be meaningful. We need regulators looking at them and making sure that they've got robust systems, that the work's gone in there, because there are industry players investing in good quality trust marks with governance and science backing them. We need to make those stand out compared to the dodgy graphic design. And finally, durability ratings. And I'm so thrilled to see so many people say, yes, durability is a factor. People need to know this. We can figure out and give people information about how long products will last. They've already started again to do this in Europe. In France, there's a beautiful durability and repairability rating system that's already on a lot of electronics. I think we want to be putting it on appliances that we're asking people to purchase as part of their electrification journey in Australia. If you're buying an oven and you're upgrading, you want to know that there's spare parts available in Australia, that you can easily take it apart, that it's not, glued together or bodgily built. Those decisions really matter when it comes to investing in a major appliance upgrade. And I think we could make that change. So last slide here. I just wanted to finish on a note that we see this as a really core part of Australia's electrification journey. There's no point in having Australian households buy new appliances if they end up in waste in just a few years. Sustainability requires product longevity. So thank you. Please come and ask me, Rosie, or Marianne any questions about this research that's underway. And if you'd like to keep in touch, that QR code will take you to our current research and our new research when it's available in the middle of the year. Thank you.